Yo,
Yo,
we made it.
is that what this is? It's a Y and an
Yo,
O.
yo.
Is that backwards?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. That spells yo.
That's still backwards.
Does that spell yo? Huh? No, then this is correct.
That's backwards.
Does that spell yo? Oh, okay.
And that's
Does this spell
backwards too.
yo?
It's always
Does
backwards.
one of these has to spell yo? Yo.
Yo, yo, yo.
One of these has to spell yo, yo.
Yo, yo. Yo, yo.
Yo, yo. This spells you.
You. Yeah, see, Saule's got it right. It's vo.
Well,
This is more like a
don't you
V
be
than a
messing with
Y.
my Y's.
This is
I
not
don't
Y.
even know
This
what's
is
thinking
not a
tails
very
on my
wise
Y's.
way to make Ys.
Well, I don't know how else with only a certain amount of fingers that I have. What do I do? Like I can't do that because that's gonna look.
That
The
looks silly.
tail is behind the O.
Oh my gosh.
No one writes that way.
I'm so confused.
We gotta. This crisis is intense. This crisis is so intense. You're
My
gonna have to
brain
just restart
hurts.
the stream. We're gonna start over.
Okay. Yo, we did it again.
Yo! Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday.
All right, started over. We did it.
Right.
Welcome everyone to Don't Worry Wednesday. Hey, what's going on, Yotsuna? Your old name was Hatsu or however you want to say it. Welcome, Kendra, Kat, Saule, Moonlit, all you guys. It's great to see you guys. Welcome to the stream.
Yeah.
This is Don't Worry Wednesday. It's the show where we Kat has a new name too. This is the show where everybody renames themselves.
Okay, I think I have a new name. Yeah, you do. You do have one that's new.
Mm-hmm. I still have the same name.
Nice.
It's always just Joe.
Yeah.
Like even when I try to change my name, people still just call me Joe. It's funny.
Well, that's not true. If they're playing a video game with you, they might call you pleb, even though we've known you for like 20 years. It happens sometimes.
It happens.
If they read the name.
Fire Guy, CDVNL. I've gone by a whole bunch of other names, but it always comes back to Joe. Pleb Nub. Yes, that was the name my kids gave me for a gamer tag, and it just kind of stuck. And so now that's my name everywhere. But anyway, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is a show that's all about you guys, is all about your topics, the stuff that you guys send us, and we talk about that. And, you know, it works well that way. When we have to come up with ideas to talk about on our own, it doesn't quite work as well because we'll just go off on all kinds of tangents, which we do anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Can't stop us. Can't stop our minds from doing that.
Can't stop us.
But
can't stop now.
Don't stop me now.
Oh, that's another
different one.
That is. Oh my gosh. All right. So now that we've got that out of our systems, let's do a show. Welcome to Don't Worry. Do we need to start over again?
Yo.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yo.
Is that yo, one of these is yo, I don't know which one.
Oh my gosh.
Back to the beginning. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, guys.
Wait,
when
did you start hosting?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So we just totally skipped this show completely and we went to next week.
Yeah, this is the next week. I'm doing next week's podcast.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, this is Don't Worry Wednesday. We're not professionals, and you should go to don'tworrywednesday.com.
I'll type it in chat. HT.
There are rails. The train is off railing right now. It is. Yes, this is the views expressed are not necessarily the views of anyone but us.
And maybe you and some people you know. But none of us are professionals.
And we are not a substitute for professional counseling, and this show is for entertainment purposes only. If you are entertained, are you not entertained? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
Mm.
we are not professionals. We just want to help in any way we can. We want to be your friend. We want to love you. We want to have some fun, and we want to help in any way we can get through whatever the challenge is, whatever the topic, whatever. We've done quite a wide variety of topics on this show,
You
ranging
really have.
from relationship issues. Issues with school, issues with teachers, issues with classmates, issues with parents, issues with uh, police. We're not legal professionals either. Although, with all the times I've been involved with the legal system, you'd think I'd be a legal professional, but still I'm
Hmm.
not. Um, but
It should be noted that they haven't been Joe being necessarily in legal trouble.
no, not every time.
Yeah, not every time. Most of them, no.
Right.
Most of them were him
Mostly it
for his
was,
friend or
yes.
uh for his own sake or
Yes. Family law.
stuff. Family law. There you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But anyway,
Mhm.
so Uh, it's crazy how all that works. But anyway, we're not legal professionals. We're not psychologists, psychiatrists, or anything like that. We're just guys. We're professional musicians, actually,
Mhm.
which I don't know how that
Don't trust
qualifies us,
musicians unless they're us.
unless they're us,
Trust musicians like you trust magicians,
which is zero,
because they're both just working magic.
unless they're us.
Unless it's us, then
Mm-hmm.
we would never lie to you.
Yep. So anyway, so here we are. This is our show. I don't know what kind of show this is going to be. How you guys look great in the chat though, I'll tell you what. And Ryan,
Mhm.
you look fantastically stunning today. Oh my gosh. I mean, look at that guy.
Thank you.
Mm. Mm. Mm, mm,
I
mm.
figured out the best smile is one with the tongue sticking out and no teeth showing.
That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good look for you. You should you
Mm-hmm.
should you should you should go with that forever.
Yeah. From now on, whenever I'm turning in my what do you call that? My headshot in for my future acting roles
Mm-hmm.
in my
With the
acting career, which hasn't started yet.
mm-hmm.
They're all gonna be tongue pictures.
Tongue pictures. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'll get the roles. I know I will.
You will. I mean, because why wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my tongue is the most charismatic part of me. That's why I sing. That's why people watch my channel. And
Okay.
it's why people come to Don't Worry Wednesday so they can hear my tongue move around and make sounds that eventually turn into wisdom.
Yes.
That's all I'm good for.
Yozo, you're right. Ryan is cute. Kat, you're right. Rolls are great. Way better
I
than
love rolls.
biscuits. Biscuits are dry and flaky, and
I
you gotta
have to
douse
agree,
them with
except for biscuits and
gravy.
gravy is good.
But it's the gravy. Like, I mean, you could
Yeah, and
take
that's
out
the
the
thing.
biscuit and just have a bowl of gravy,
Here's
and it would be just as good.
couldn't you do rolls and gravy? And
Yeah,
wouldn't that be great?
and that's good too. I used to do that
Exactly.
actually. It was funny. I remember I used to go to this
Yeah.
truck stop where we'd spend like all night there and drink coffee because it was 24-hour place, right? And
Mm.
so we'd sit there and I would get kind of hungry, but I was broke. And so I was like,
hmm
I don't have enough money to buy like an actual entree. So I look at the side dishes and I'd be like, hey, can I get a side of rolls, which was like 50 cents at the time or something like that, and then a side of gravy, which was like 30 cents, and I'd have
Oh,
rolls
wow.
with gravy. And I was like,
Nice.
oh, win. And then, and then they made rolls and gravy like an actual dish on their menu after I did that enough times.
Oh my gosh. So that you weren't allowed to order rolls and gravy
Yes,
that's
I could.
funny.
And they made it like expensive. They made it like $3 or something like that. I was like,
Yeah,
ah,
that's
but
funny.
what?
I will say
What?
biscuits in other places in the world can be a word for cookie, like cookies.
Yes, that's very true.
And those biscuits are pretty good.
It depends.
Well, of course it depends. Everything depends. It's like
A cookie
it's
might be
like
good.
a cookie might be good, a cookie might be bad, a roll might be bad. You
It
know?
might.
Yeah.
I've had some bad rolls before.
Yeah, me too. I've had some pretty bad rolls before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all cookies are good cookies to someone. What did you say about
What did I
rolls?
say about rolls? Wait, what?
Hey,
They're good most of the
they're
time.
good most of the time. Yeah.
Mm. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm wondering the same as Sole. Cat, why are you burning? Don't light yourself on fire.
Mm.
Oh, yo, so it's okay. It's okay to miss. Don't
Yeah.
worry, Wednesday.
Hey,
I'm gonna miss next week's.
we're just happy for whatever time anyone makes it here. I mean, that's just fantastic. We don't count the times that people don't. I mean, if we did that, that would be billions every episode. So I think we're fine without
Mm-hmm.
doing that. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So, well, I know how some of you are doing. Cats is burning. RK feels like their legs are burning. Um, so how you guys doing? You guys look great and fun and everything. And Ryan, how are you doing?
Burning. No, that's not true.
Burning.
I'm actually kind of a little bit cold because I'm in the basement, but doing great, doing really great, doing
Good.
really great. Yep. Yeah, how
Good.
you doing, man?
Dude, I am salty today. It's gonna be an interesting show.
Ooh, well, that's good with rolls. What's the occasion for the salt?
Man, I've
Oh
been
man.
salty all day.
Well,
The Bible made me mad today. I read the
oh
Bible
no.
and now I'm salty.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, but doesn't the Bible say, "Oh, you are the salt of the earth"?
Oh, yeah, and it's right now. I'll tell you what.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Like like it's so crazy. Well, so every day I have this morning routine, right? I read the Bible, I read the Catechism of the Catholic Church and journal and stuff like that, right? So I spend some time meditating and reading and whatever, right? And so it's fun, like, oh, dude. So in the Bible, I'm in the Song of Solomon.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah. And to piggyback on that, the catechism, the section is we're going through the sacraments and we're in the sacrament of matrimony.
Mm.
So I'm salty because it's all like
Mm-hmm.
relational, gobbledy,
Yeah.
romantic, gookery, nasty stuff, right? Oh, la, 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 la.
Mm-hmm.
Your teeth are like the shorn lambs and like blah blah blah, and your
Did
hair
you get
is
to
like
the
a flock of mountain goats, and your
Mm-hmm. And you leave me calling on the mountain like a gazelle waiting for its whatever.
yeah, you're right, James. It's the book of sex. There's all kinds of
Yeah.
allegory, but it's like seriously, like
Yeah, it's a book
ugh,
about love.
nerve something. It's a book about
Love.
something. It's a book about whatever. It's a book about gazelles and body parts and how they look like stuff, and like what kind of people look like that? What
Your
kind of
arm
people's
looks like a
cheeks look like pomegranates, and what kind of people's like hair looks like mountain goats, and what kind of woman has parts that look like two fawns of a gazelle, and like what is this even?
That's what I want to look like
I'm
someday.
like, seriously, like, are these like pickup lines to use?
Hey girl, your body parts look like two gazelles coming together to make a third gazelle.
Oh,
Mm-mm-mm.
oh my.
Oh my. I don't think you're gonna score a date with that one.
No.
And your arms look like the screams of mountain goats waiting for their prey. What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah. So anyway, that's in there. You can feel free and read it if you want. It's pretty wild. And it puts your brain in a weird place. Oh,
And
so
your
like, it
biceps
may
are
work
the
if she's the
size of a
daughter of a
whisper hand.
pastor. It may work.
Oh, that's fair. It might. You're right.
Oh yeah.
Was a worm? Cats. You have to tell me you're a girl, right? Is that the pickup line that works on you? Is that what you're saying?
I would love you if only you were a worm. We'll put it in the ASMR voice. I would love you if you were a worm.
Does that float your boat?
Oh my gosh.
Your hair is that of a screaming mountain goat.
Screaming mountain goat. Ah! Oh my goodness. All right. Well,
oh, that's hilarious.
So we have sufficiently completely derailed. Let's do a show.
Good.
What do you think?
Let's do a show. Yeah, I think that's great. Good idea.
All right. So we got some topics here. And we got people.
James. Yeah.
Astra. Tell her voice is like that of a plucked pelican. Oh my gosh, we totally crashed the Don't Worry Wednesday trolley. We did. Thank you for joining us. We'll get it back on track here. This is gonna be good.
Your forceps are the size of a whisper in a canyon.
I used to tell people I sleep like a baby.
Ooh, that's not. You wake up every.
I wake up every 2 hours screaming.
Yeah. It's horrifying. Oh gosh. Okay, yeah, let's do a show.
It's super fun. All right, so we got some topics here we can do. James, you want to roast me? You can do whatever you want,
doesn't
man.
Taste that great.
Yeah,
he is human after all.
You know,
you'd have to cannibalism.
You'd have to like find some way to cause my demise first, please. I'm not a lobster. I'd prefer to not be cooked alive.
You'd have to catch me first.
But yeah, I mean, got a heck of a rump roast. Oh my gosh. All right. Hey, Mianglios, you made it.
Hey, there we are. There's the person we've been waiting for. Now we can start the stream correctly.
Hey, all right, perfect. Let's get back on track. I agree, Kendra. We should totally do that.
100%.
Great. And Kat, thank you for defending me. You are amazing. Because the evil James who wants to eat me. Well, actually, no. He just said he wanted to roast me. He didn't say anything about eating.
Oh, yeah.
Is it okay? Is it Ryan?
He just thinks you would smell good cooked. Yeah.
Hey, you cannot kill anything unless you're going to eat it.
That's true.
If you kill a person in self-defense, do you then have to eat them?
Well, if you kill the power in your house, you have to eat the power.
Oh my gosh. I will eat the power.
Mm-hmm.
And then
you can say, I've got power.
Oh,
yes. Whatever that song is.
Yes. Wait, which is sin number 6? Of the 7 deadly sins? You're going to have to remind me which one that is. Because I've heard them in multiple orders. Oh, thou shalt not kill. Oh my. Now we could go into a whole theological discussion that we're not going to get into because it's, there's killing and then there's murdering and they're different and yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. If you accidentally step on an ant, you have to eat it. Yes. And you know how many microorganisms you step on and kill every day? That means in Ryan's world, you have to scrape the bottom of your shoes on a daily basis and eat what you scrape off.
Oh, not only that, you got to lick everywhere you walk.
everywhere you walk.
You better leave your tongue dragging behind you. The salt on your skin kills organisms every moment. You better be keeping everything in your mouth. Okay, let's do a topic.
Oh my. Okay. All right. So we've got some topics. We've got some topics. Yotso, we got some topics from you under the name of Hatsu. We probably won't go back in and edit your name before we get to them, but we have a couple here, and I'd like to start with one. Would you prefer the one about alienation from a friend group or stressed and annoyed with little things? And we'd be happy to do whichever is your preference. Little things. All right. Stressed and annoyed with little things. We can totally do that. Totally do that. It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me get it up on the screen for you. So then I can read it out loud, and you can read along while I read it out loud. That's going to be great. So this is called Stressed and Annoyed with Little Things from Hatsu. And it says, I am stressed and annoyed and ticked off with so many little things. I can't handle it. And that is from Hatsu, also known as Yotsura. And I understand where you're coming from. If you want to expound in the chat, if there's anything specific, are you wanting advice on how to handle being stressed and annoyed by the little things? Are you looking for, I don't know. Was there, bless you, Ryan.
Thank you.
So, because I tell you what, I end up in this position also where I'm stressed and annoyed by little things. Sometimes it's also big things that are groups of little things. That happens too. And they can turn into big things. Or, maybe it's just a pet peeve of mine. Like I have this pet peeve. It's a ridiculously dumb pet peeve, but it's a pet peeve. And it's like the silverware drawer has to be organized.
Yeah.
And the silverware has to match. And it has to stack. So like, you see, they have those little partitioner things in the silverware drawer, and you got like maybe you have a whole bunch of forks in one, spoons and knives, whatever. And it's a whole bunch of different kinds with a whole bunch of different kinds of handles and everything like that. And that bugs me enough. But then I would go, there was this one particular friend of mine who I'd go over to his house and I'd be like, where's your silverware? And he'd point to the drawer, which is, you usually can, have you ever noticed that in just about everybody's house, you can generally pick out which drawer is the silverware drawer? It's just the logical one.
The logical one.
There's like a drawer.
Not always, but yeah.
A lot of times, like best most choice out of two, right? Like most of the time, you pick one or the other, and it's going to be the silverware drawer. Well, this one was not either of those in this person's house, and you opened it up, and it was just a mess of silverware. No partitions, no nothing. They just like took them out of the wash and then threw them in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd be like digging around for a fork or whatever, and I'm like this totally freaked me out, right? And I didn't know how to handle it.
So we're not friends anymore.
So, hey, friendships have ended over weirder stuff, I guess, but whatever, But anyway, but those little things can be annoyances. And they can stress us out, and they can make us upset, and they can totally throw our day off. I definitely know where you're coming from. And sometimes it's little pet peeves. Sometimes it's little things people do. Sometimes it's like a little thing that's like the last straw if you have a whole bunch of other stuff that's happening or that's recently happened, and then this one little thing happens, and it just totally sets you off. It's not necessarily that thing that got you. It's the culmination of all these other things. So there's a couple ways to look at this, and we'll probably over the course of this we'll address them both, but One way is just to how to figure out how to lighten up a little bit when little things come your way, and like when little things make us upset. How do we handle that? And then also there's the other thing of like maybe you just have so much on your mind like constantly, or maybe you're going through something really stressful and really hard, and so like any little thing that gets added is just going to set you off just because of the amount of stress you're carrying around normally. And so these one of these or both of these could be at play. And I know I'll tell you one thing for sure is that Ryan is one of the most even keeled, easygoing, nothing ruffles his feathers kind of guy I think I've ever met in my life. And so I cannot wait to hear what he has to say. And he'll probably just say something like, "Hey, man, don't worry about it. It's be all right." Like,
Yeah. All right. I can do that. I can say that.
yeah. But anyway, like whatever goes on in Ryan's mind, I am excited to hear because like I said, he is very, very even keeled and even tempered, and a lot of things just slide right off him. The world could be exploding, and he'd be like, "Oh, cool. It's
Yeah,
pretty.
we wrote about that in the Don't Worry Wednesday, or not Don't Worry, Sadie P Friends. What was that? The trolley problem, the BSS trolley
Oh
problem.
yeah. You're sleeping.
Yeah. I'm sleeping because hey, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. Yep. And I want to just get run over because I can take it.
Yeah, because you could take it. You'll stop that train.
Yes. All right. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and see what he has to say. So Ryan, take it over, man.
Hey, man, don't worry about it. It's okay.
I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah. No, I think there's a lot that goes on in my mind when I think about this topic, because there are times when I get where I notice myself I have a response where I notice myself basically. In response to me doing something, I notice myself and I'm like, hey, I seem a little bit more angry or off kilter today. I need to watch that. I need to figure out what's going on with me. And immediately when I notice myself kind of being a little bit more edgy than other days, I like to take a moment and talk to myself and get things straightened out. If there's anything bothering me, or if I don't know what it is, what's bothering me, I just talk to myself, usually, or pray and ask for the Holy Spirit. That usually helps a lot. But that's some quick tidbits of advice, and I don't expect that to go very far, but it can if you let it. But here's what I'm going to say. If you find yourself getting angry over a lot of little things, generally it means, and I don't mean to, this is not any way to belittle you or say, you're doing things wrong or whatever. But it's ultimately just to help you and to get through what you're going through. What I can say is most of the time when you find yourself getting angry at little things, it's because you have a sense of entitlement to things going the way you want them to go. If little things tick you off and they ultimately pile up, like you said, Yozoa, they pile up over time, and then eventually it's just like this overwhelming, you just want to burst into anger. It makes sense that happens. That happens to all of us. But when you can recognize, like, hey, all these little things that are bothering me, they're bothering me because I'm letting them get to me, and I'm letting myself care about these things. I'm letting myself. Basically, you're letting these things hurt you, even though they shouldn't, right? And so when things are wrong, like let's take Joe's example of the silverware. If I see myself getting ticked off over a silverware drawer, because that's in such stark contrast to my normal state of being, I will be thrown off internally about me getting angry over a drawer. I will have to just shut down for a second and be like, Ryan, what is wrong with you?
Hmm.
Like, it is literally just a silverware drawer. It does not matter in the grand scheme of things. It doesn't even matter in this moment. And if you flip out over a silverware drawer, that is dumb, man. Like, Ryan, you gotta fix yourself. Like, don't be that low, is the kind of talk I talk to myself with. But it's not like, Ryan, you're stupid. It's, you're better than this. Ryan, you don't have to let this little thing bother you. It's nothing. And then I go on throughout my day. And obviously, different things affect us differently. Sometimes for me, it's words. Like, people say certain words in certain orders, and I'm just like one of the things that grinds my gears is when people say the word anymore in the wrong sentence. Like, you could say, oh, that light bulb doesn't work anymore. But that's a fine sentence. But like, when people say light bulbs work anymore. Most light bulbs work anymore. That just grinds my gear. I'm like, you just messed that up so horribly. That's not how that word is used. It makes me like just all inside like, oh, what are you doing to me? Why are you eating my soul? Stop chewing on my arm. What is going on? So when people are like, light bulbs work anymore, it really just throws me off. So I have to come back into myself and just think, Ryan, that doesn't matter. Like, what matters is how I treat people. What matters is my attitude, right? What doesn't matter is this little thing that's affecting me. And so what I find helps a lot is not feeling entitled to having things my way. And the way that I combat that entitlement is through being thankful. Being thankful for all the good things and recognizing the bad things are just there. What can I do about it? Sure, some things I can fix, some things I can't, but it's like, I should recognize the natural state is 0 and everything I have above that is awesome. Why am I worried about anything that's less than 0? Like, life isn't about the sum game of how many times I've been hurt versus how many times I've been helped. I just look at the world and go, how many times have I been helped? Who cares about the times I've been hurt? Because the times I've been hurt, I can turn those around into something better. But the times I've been helped, I couldn't request that from anybody. I couldn't ask for something like that. I just have been receiving that, and all I can do is be thankful. And it's not something that I've earned, it's just I have it. And so how can I be anything but thankful? And so when I kind of think about the world in the scheme of like, how are things being built upwards, not how are things being built down? I'm not worried about, oh, I deserved this, and this, or I should have had this way, or this person should have said it this way, or treated me this way, or this drawer should be organized, period. Like, anything. Everything is in a state of chaos by default. Anything that's not chaos is great. Anything that is chaos and bad, we should just be like, oh, that's normal. Like, oh, that's a silverware drawer. Sorry, I'm going on yours, but it's a great example. That's a silverware drawer.
Mm-hmm.
It is a total mess. Should it be that way? No. But is it? Yeah. What are things anyways? A total mess. Like, humans spend time making things organized. And we're like one of the only animals that do that. So, I mean, all other animals kind of do it in small ways, but humans do it to like an extreme degree compared to everything else, right? Like, you can look at a beaver's dam and be like, wow, that's incredible engineering, but it is a total mess.
And it's in our way, and so humans go in and destroy it.
That's right, because we're smarter than beavers, and we know it's right, but they don't know. Sorry, beavers. My apologies. But anyways, we should assume everything to be just not in our favor, and anything that is just like, oh, that's great. You know, that's kind of the way that I try to look at the world, because it sets me up to be joyful. It sets me up for everything to be beyond my expectations. You know, and when things aren't to your expectations, right, generally people don't know how to handle that. I think you should have high hopes, and it's okay to have high expectations. But if you can't emotionally handle your high expectations when they don't work out, then you need to either learn how to handle your emotions or lower your expectations or do a little bit of both. Because there's nothing inherently wrong with having high expectations. But you have to realize that if a high expectation destroys you inside, then first of all, your expectation might be unreasonable. And second, that shouldn't happen. It's just an expectation. Like, the world goes wherever the world goes. Like, we can't control much. We try, and that's great. And what we do is great, but we can't, expect everything to go our way. So as you go throughout your day and you notice these little things that tick you off, your mind should hopefully be at a state where you don't even notice those. Because the only thing you're looking for are the good things, not the things that are going wrong. Because everything around you is going wrong all the time. And if you focus on them, you're just going to make yourself more and more angry. That's the truth. And it's unfortunate, but it's the truth. If you become a noticer of the problems, or a noticer of the negatives, or whatever, problems without solution, I mean, by the way. If you become a noticer of how things are wrong, and that gets you emotionally drained, that's just going to be your state, unfortunately. But if you become a noticer of the good, that which is greater than zero, right? The baseline of chaos, anything that's above that, it's like, oh, whoa, I just noticed that. That looks really cool over there. It's like, hey, someone made those Legos. They might be half broken down because someone went and destroyed them, but like, you can see something was going on there and someone was building them and it probably looked pretty cool before. Let's maybe see if we can help rebuild it, or whatever it is, right? If little things get you, you have to start to train your brain to think like, you have to train yourself to recognize you're focusing too much on the little things that are not good and not focusing enough on the little things that are great around you. Because there are so many good things that are in order or that are just healthy or helpful, people doing good things around you. It can be hard to see if your brain doesn't see those easily, right? But you can train your brain to see them. And so that's why I said, in order to get away from this, learn to be thankful. Because the more you spend time finding things to be thankful for, the more your brain can latch on to the things to be thankful for around you and can see them more clearly. And so that's what I have to start with. Try to get away from the idea of entitlement, or things should be your way, or they should be organized or not chaotic, or they should be nice and not mean to you. People should be, not being jerks online or whatever it is, right? Just get away from that line of thinking. Anything that's negative, you can kind of just dismiss and go, that's where that person's at, or that's where that thing is at. That's ground zero. Who cares? I'm worried about that little bit here and there that's above zero. Because if I can focus on that, the little things will never bother me. Because the little things are just there. They're always will be. Spending, training your brain to get good at noticing the bad and getting worked up over it is just, it's awful. And I know that because I was there before. And I know that because I've seen a lot of people there before. But if you can spend more time looking at the what's actually being good, what's growing, what's healthy, what's moving us forward, and that's all you really spend your time looking at, it becomes increasingly easy to dismiss all the things that go wrong, because you don't care about them. They don't do anything for you in the first place. They don't do any good for you. Why am I thinking about them? They're not doing any good. They're just making me upset. What's that? Why would I subject myself to that? It doesn't make any sense. And I recognize that takes time to program your brain through that. But I'm telling you the end game, not necessarily, and I'm telling you kind of how the path looks. But I'm not going to tell you get there in a day. You get there through time. You get there and it takes a while. It can take a month. It could take 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
But and it could take, depending on how deep you are, it could take half a year. But generally, it doesn't take that long. Generally, only takes a month if you really buckle down and decide you're gonna do it. You know. So yeah, that's what I got to start with. Joe, what would you like to say? You're a lot. You have a wholly, completely different experience with issues of anger and utilizing it for a force for good and all that. So,
are you saying I have anger issues?
You have. Are they issues if you can use them for good? I don't know.
Yes. No, I totally can relate with you. I get annoyed and set off by little things, and part of the you've heard me talk about anger and how I utilize anger, and how I'm not afraid to be angry. It doesn't make me upset to be angry, because what I've learned to do through forming different mental habits is I've learned to separate the thing that made me angry from the feeling of anger. And so these are two separate things. And then I can discard the thing that made me angry and go, I can't change anything about that. That happened. There's nothing I can do about it anymore. Right? Mm. But I'm still left with this feeling of anger. And all this is now that I've separated it from the event, is just raw power. And I can go and do stuff.
To what
a Sith Lord would say. To what a Sith Lord would say.
No. I was saying it's kind of similar to what I was saying. It's a similar thing where you take a moment and just say, "What is this to me?" Basically, it's like I'm just gonna take a moment to look at the scenario and recognize what's not helpful, and just, okay, who needs that, and then move on, sort of thing.
Yeah, no. So Yozo says, how do you do that? Well, there's a couple different things, and I'm not perfect at it. I'm still working at it. I'm better at it now than I was a few months ago, but this is something that's a journey, and something that, like Ryan was talking about, it's a habit that we have to develop, and we get better at it the more we practice it. And so the sooner I can catch myself when I'm in a moment of annoyance or anger or frustration or whatever, and then just say, okay, what am I angry about? And then recognize the thing that I'm angry about. I think to myself, well, what can I do about that? It happened. It's in the past. I can't change it. And in fact, the part of that comes from a guy named, what was his name? I'm drawing a blank. He wrote The Miracle Morning. Hal Elrod. Oh my gosh. He wrote The Miracle Morning, and in that book he talked about, one of the techniques he used on himself was that when stuff would make him mad, he would allow himself, he'd set a timer. He'd give himself the 5-minute rule. Right? And so he would set a timer for 5 minutes, and for 5 minutes he would just go off and yell and swear and scream and punch stuff and whatever, and just be really mad about the situation. And then when the timer went off, he would say to himself, I can't change it. So there's no sense in his mind at that point. He's like, there's no sense of me spending any more energy on this subject, right? Now, so that I learned that a few years ago, and that was really helpful. And, to understand the words, can't change it, I can't change it. Like, because anything that happens to us, we can't change that it happened. Now, we can clean up a mess that's been made. We can reconcile our differences with another person. We can, if something happens, we can try and make amends for it, but we cannot go back and undo the thing that happened, right? We can only make amends at that point. And so what we're left with is an event, which is one thing, and a feeling, which is another thing. And neither of these define who we are. I just had to throw that in there, because our feelings do not define who we are. Feelings come and go, like the weather. Feelings will come over us, and then even if we do nothing with that feeling, over time it will change. that feeling will change over time. And that goes for everything. You know, all these feelings that we encounter change over time. I can tell you, like, when we're upset about something, even if we're stuck in that upsetness for a long time, over time, that will change. As we develop more history with ourselves, that feeling will change. And it will, you know, change to whatever. We fall in love. That feeling will change over time. Right? And all these things, feelings come and go. But, so the question is, what do we do with these feelings, right? And so if you can find a way to be productive with your feelings, then that's great. And I discovered somewhere along the course of my therapy, I don't know, maybe like a half a year ago or something, I discovered this relationship that I have with anger. And that I've discovered that I'm a very... Over my life history, I've been a pretty angry person. Not that I've lashed out and been violent or aggressive, because I'm not. I'm not an aggressive person with people. I'm not a person that picks fights. I'm not a person, anything like that. But I harbor anger. I get angry. And then, like, I will just feel angry. And I won't necessarily let other people see that. I've gotten pretty good at concealing it, but inside there's this like whirling of anger that's just, right? And I discovered that all this is a source of energy. When I'm angry, I can get a lot of stuff done. When I'm angry at a construction job site, man, look out. I can get a lot of stuff done. And so I would almost, like when I was doing construction over at Ryan's brother Kyle's house, it was great on days when Kyle and I would have a conversation that made me upset. Because I'd get a lot of stuff done. And there were a lot of opportunities for having a conversation that made me upset because of my divorce and all the different things that we're going through and the absolute illogical mess of dealing with a narcissist in a divorce and and trying to co-parent and all that kind of stuff. Crazy. And to Kyle's logical brain, it was just ridiculous. Because he's so logical, and he would just be like, well, here's the right answer. Here's the logical answer. And I'm like, yep, you're absolutely right. That's the logical answer. But that's not the reality that we live in here. And so we would have all these back and forth conversations, and I'd end up really upset and angry, and then I'd get a whole bunch of work done, which is great, right? And Kyle and I stay friends because, you know, that's how that works. But it's interesting. Part of this is perspective. Part of this is how do we look at a situation and how do we label it? Because if we look at a situation and label it as bad, then automatically we're going to get annoyed, we're going to get upset, we're going to be angry, right? And then we're going to have that feeling to deal with. But if we can relabel, excuse me, man, oh man. If we can relabel the thing and turn it around, then maybe we can laugh at it. Or maybe we can think good of it. Or something like that, right? Like I've gotten to the point where a lot of these little annoyances, these little things that tick me off, I just kind of laugh at it. And I'm like, man, people are so crazy. This world is a crazy, messed up place. Look at how messed up this is, you know? And like these little things that annoy me, I'll just kind of laugh at. I'll be like, really? And so I'll pray and I'll be like, really, God? What do you got next? Seriously? This is where we're going to go. Okay, cool. What's next, dude? And I'm like, so, and then he's happy to oblige and show me what's next. And what's next might make me laugh even harder. But, you know, where this came into play in a big way was doing dishes. Does anybody like doing the dishes? I used to hate doing the dishes. Washing dishes was like it was like the worst chore ever. I hated it. And, you know, and then I came to the realization that, hey, you know what? Having dirty dishes is a really good sign. It's a good sign that we had food to eat. Hey, so that relabels the situation. Okay, you know, this is a good thing. We just had a great meal together, and there's a bunch of dishes to clean up because we had people together that love each other, and we had good food. And those are good things. And so now we're left with the messy dishes. And I'd look at that pile of dishes and I'd be frustrated. And then I'd be like, ugh. Now I gotta go wash the stinking dishes, right? And so I gotta wash the dishes, and it's hot, and it's steamy, and it's, and you get all sweaty and everything like that. And then I'm like, wait a second, I can think of other activities that have the same effect that I don't think are bad. Maybe this is my new favorite activity. It's hot, it's steamy, it's sweaty. Hey.
I like it. Yeah, I play those mental games too. It's great.
It's so like, hey. So sometimes it's just the way that we perceive something, the way that we label it in our mind can have a massive impact on how it affects us. Now, some things are just horrible. Sometimes we deal with stuff that just is painful and it hurts. And in those situations, we have to remind ourselves that, you know what? The hurt is temporary. The pain is temporary. Over time, it will change. But the thing is I can't go back and change the event. I can't unsay what was said. I can't undo what was done. So then we have to go from looking backward to looking forward and saying, okay, what am I going to do next? And when I realize I can't change the past, I can't change what happened, but if I can harness the energy of the feeling, then that can be very, very beneficial. So anyway, I don't know. I've talked for a while. I hope that made sense. I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan and see what he has to say. So
that made a lot of sense. I really like a lot of what you said. And I just want to tack on one little thing. And that is your response to the things that make you angry. The little things, big things, doesn't really matter what they are. It's interesting because when you notice something that makes you angry, like ticks you off, it's just a little thing or whatever that builds up over time, your response isn't to repress your anger. Your response is to respond with goodness and grace. You're trying to take grace and put it into the scenario, not suppress your anger or whatever. So this at least for me, this helps a lot. Sorry. So imagine you have a situation. I'm gonna come up with one. Someone is hugging on you and you don't want it, right? Someone's hugging on you, they're being a little too huggy, whatever, just a random. You're like, I don't want this person on me, right? Now you can do many different things. One of them is you can tell them, you can push them off and say, go away, right? Another one is you can repress your distaste towards it, and that's going to bother you every time that they hug you, or basically even to a point where just being around them is too much to bear because you've just kept on piling and repressing all this anger so as not to have an outburst on them because you want to be polite, but you also, that it's what you know how to do is just repress the anger. Just pretend it's not happening and act like it's not happening or whatever. Another one is to disassociate. I wouldn't recommend it. And then the last one is to put grace into it. And what I mean in that scenario is look at it and recognize like what they're doing isn't wrong. And you shouldn't feel angry about this. Unless it is something that's wrong and you should feel angry about this. But in this example, it's like, okay, well, they're just hugging on me because they like me. That's fine. Why am I ticked off? I guess I just didn't want to be hugged on. Okay. How about I'm going to insert some grace and love into this scenario, right? And so what does that look like? When you insert grace and love into something, it means you respond to that person or to that action with a sense of love and grace. Like, I want the very best for you. I want you to feel happy. I want you to experience joy. Right? And there's no like, and I can experience that joy alongside you. Right? And so someone comes to hug you, and you can, at that moment, now that you've inserted some grace and love into it, you can change the way you feel about the scenario. Instead of going, oh, I hate this, don't touch me, you can change your mind to going, you know what, come over here, just give me a hug. And then at some point you can tell them, like, hey, you hug me a lot, and I think I don't like being hugged that much. I do like it sometimes though, so maybe we'll just do less, but you can still totally hug me. Just like ask, I guess, before you do it. That'd be really helpful. Now you've inserted something into the scenario that comes from a loving response. And it's not you just suppressing your anger and saying, okay, I'm just going to let them do it and try to not burst out on them. Because that will ultimately come into a position where you resent them or resent the scenarios or surrounding that subject, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want anybody touching you ever again, type of thing, or whatever it is, right? And so that's just one example, and you can do that in almost anything. If it's with the forks thing, like the drawer, you go into the drawer, it's crazy messy. You can insert love into that. You can go, first of all, have mercy. So it's like, look, they're just a human being, and they just threw this together because this is what they're used to. This is probably how they grew up, or if it's not, it doesn't matter. That's just what they felt they were capable of, and it was the fastest, easiest way for them to go about it. And I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Totally okay. Secondly, I can offer to organize the drawer for them. I know next time I'm back here, it'll be all crazy again, but it'll be nice for them for a time, and that's nice, you know? And so maybe I'll just say, hey, you mind if I organize your drawer? Suddenly, when you say things like that, something changes in here, and all of a sudden, like a switch gets flipped, and your whole, like, everything about your demeanor, everything about your attitude, everything about all that pent up aggression, it just completely just like, you're on a whole different plane. It's like none of that ever existed. All of a sudden, you're just like, what has happened to all of it? It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens when you insert love and grace into the scenario. Again, it's not the same as repressing anger. It's completely different because, yeah, I mean, obviously, been over it, but sometimes it does look like you choosing to do nothing about it. But in here, you're coming to accept it. You're coming to love the person or the things and treating them with love, even if it means you just go, okay, yeah, I can embrace this, right? Oh, yeah, I can embrace them and their drawer decisions. It's their house. They can do what they like, and this is how they have it organized, and I understand. It's fine. I have mine differently organized, and we're all just people here, and we're all going to be different. And so then you insert that in there, and it's going to look the same as just saying, whatever, just going to not act like anything's wrong. It might look like that, but in here, you recognize the difference is it's completely different. And so I just want to leave you with that thought. As you go through this journey, keep in mind the thing you want to do. To the things that tick you off, insert love and grace into them. And that will help just kind of wash away the bitterness,
Mm-hmm.
if you will.
Mm.
And prevent you from building up that stress and annoyance. It'll stop you from building it up over time and having it at the end of the day just an explosion, right? Because that's what happens. I know it happens because I've done it many times. And so insert love and grace is the way to completely exit the scenario, I suppose, where you're building up annoyance and stress and dislikes and etc. on top of each other. You just exit. when you insert love and grace into a scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've got. Um, can you give an example of this in a situation where it's not really another person involved? Usually what ticks us off the most is other people, but sure, yeah, things. I mean, I could say like homework.
But
You're
your
struggling
teacher's
with homework, but I
involved
was
with
like, there's a
that.
person who gave you homework.
Mm-hmm.
But let's. Can you give me an example, Myanglios, where, or Myanglios, whatever. Sorry, Myanglios, where there's not a person involved, like when your hair is knotty. Okay,
I
yeah,
hate
that's
that.
a
I
good
hate
one.
that. You know what you do? You shave your head.
Leave it off. Boom, problem solved. Your hair is knotty. That's great.
Sorry.
So your hair is knotty, and it's knotty like every morning, and you're like, why does this keep happening? You know, I get it. I get it. And how do you insert love and grace into that scenario? Um, yeah, when you're frustrated with yourself, right? So here's what you can do. First of all, be thankful for your hair. Be thankful that you have hair, right? And that it is how it is. You know, everybody's hair is different, and it's kind of neat. Almost everybody's hair is different. I mean, we have general hair types, but just generally, like, people's hairs grow out of their head in different ways, and they're
Mm-hmm.
different lengths, and they grow different curls at different parts.
Mm-hmm.
And if you shower and you sleep on it when it's wet, it gets curly, but it's otherwise straight or whatever, right? And so hair is just a wild thing.
Mm-hmm.
Be thankful. It's pretty cool. Be thankful that you have some. Um, and then know when you're combing through your hair, you're just like, you know what? I'm glad I have hair to comb through. Even if I have to work at it a little bit, it's worth the work. It's worth trying to scrub the knots, whatever, comb these knots out, because it's gonna make my hair look better. It's gonna make me feel better. It's gonna stop things from getting stuck in my hair. It's just a win, 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 win. You
Mm-hmm.
know? Is it a little annoying that I have to go through the process? If you think it is, sure. But you know what? Some people in the world, they love combing their hair. They love the
Mm-hmm.
sensation.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's smooth or knotty, they just love it. And so if
Mm-hmm.
there are some people who can get in that mind frame, then there's got to be a way that I can get in that mind frame too. And so I will learn what it takes to appreciate my hair and like combing it enough that it doesn't bother me. Maybe it's getting into different kinds of conditioner, right? Obviously, there's lots of different kinds of conditioner out there. Maybe I'm choosing the wrong one. Maybe there's better shampoos for me. Maybe I need to put in or what do you call that? The conditioner you put in after you're done showering and your hair is kind of damp or dry, and you just put it in. You know, leave-in conditioner. That's what it's called. You
Mm.
know, maybe I should put more interest into my hair so that combing it feels rewarding rather than uh, like it's pulling something away from me. And those are just some suggestions of kind of changing your perspective, like Joe was talking about, changing your perspective and coming at it with a more healthy, more, hey, this is a bonus, not a subtraction, sort of mindset or mind frame. Um, yeah, that's what I got. I hope that that does help and that was a good walkthrough. If not, I'm sorry, but I gave you my best, and that's kind of how I walk through it in my head a little bit. So,
Mm-hmm.
Joe, how is that? Would you say the same thing?
That's great. Nope, I
Yeah.
think that's perfect. And that's a great way to diminish the anger that you would experience as a result of these things. And to kind of, as Ryan was saying, to kind of remove yourself from the arena of getting upset and getting angry. Now, the thing that's funny is I can I can hear myself in these situations, and I'm just like, I can remember talking to a person about financial problems, and they gave me the absolute worst financial advice ever, which was, well, you shouldn't have done that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, right.
And I'm like, okay, well, I did it, and here I am. So how do I get out of it? I don't know. We just never did something that dumb. Like, why would you do that? That's so stupid.
Oh,
And that was like
yes.
their financial advice, right? And I was like, you're
Yeah.
not helping me. But not that they had to help me. Like they, you know, hey,
Mm.
they were just doing the best they could. But anyway, when you're in the arena of anger, learn how to handle that anger. And you can go back and listen to some of my other ones about anger. Try and remember that, or you can DM me, and I'd be happy to talk with you about it some. And
Yeah, next time you're angry, maybe you should message Joe, and maybe he'll be able to, if he has time, walk you through it.
mhm.
Just step by step, sort of like, hey, think about these type of things or consider these things.
Yep. Yep,
Might
and I
be helpful.
apologize. I'm not always readily available. I apologize.
Yeah,
We all have stuff
of
going
course.
on and stuff, lives and everything, right? And explosions to deal with. But here's the thing,
Yeah,
like,
all of us.
and one of the things there are a couple books. There's the Angry book. I can't remember the author, and another one I can't
Hmm.
remember the author. Walking Through Anger. Actually, that one's by Christian Conte, I believe. But yeah. Anyway, so
Sounds
there
Latin.
these are some books that helped me figure out about anger, and that it's a feeling and it's energy, and it can be used productively. We don't have to use it to be aggressive even with ourselves. We don't have to use it to beat up ourselves or to beat up another person. We can use that energy productively, and a lot of times it requires something physical. Okay? A lot of times anger, to really properly use the energy that anger brings, is to do something physical, whether it's working out, whether it's punching a punching bag, whether it's punching a pillow, whether it's shadow boxing. I spent a lot of time sparring just the air, because I was trained in Taekwondo, and
Air's
so
a tricky
like
target.
it is, man. And so like but it's crazy, and the more that we can do something physical that just kind of uses our muscles, wears us out, and does these things, that's a really, really, really helpful way to process through anger. Because as we look through evolution, all these kind of things, like we've appeared to have made some pretty good groundbreaking discoveries in emotional evolution, and how, like, why these emotions even exist, what they were for, all these kinds of things. And anger triggered an the anger triggers the desire to take action, the readiness to take action, to take physical action, right? And so then if you sit there and think about the thing that's making you angry and don't do anything, you will sit there and be angry, and the anger will eventually freeze and become depression. And that happened to me, at a very drastically, very dramatically, because it was a lot of years of just burying and burying and burying anger. But then as I started to understand these things, and as I started to understand this can be useful, this can be something that I can work toward a physical fitness goal, or I can work toward drumming is a very physical thing. I can drum better, or I could use it for Taekwondo skill, or I could use it for dance, or I could use it for, whatever, something physical where I'm using my body. That's the realm of releasing that repressed anger, that anger that wells up inside us, because it's a readiness to take physical action. So while what Ryan was saying is great, and it can diminish those instances of where you can feel angry, and it can also lower your stress level and lower that amount of cortisol, that hormone that's coursing through your body, that stress hormone that causes all kinds of problems in us. As you can, if you can lower that by doing what Ryan is saying, that's going to be very, very helpful. But that doesn't mean that you're not ever going to find yourself in the situation of being angry.
Right. Because
So,
I mean, there's times where you should be angry.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I should
Yeah.
be angry all the time, and I am.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
I guess variance of opinion, but yeah.
Yes. Oh, Mialudo, thank you. Thank you for finding those books. So they're there in the
Awesome.
chat. And I read the Angry book, but I never read Walking Through Anger. I just listened to it on Audible. So though it's available on Audible if listening to stuff while you're gaming or whatever, or driving, wherever you're at, doing some kind of task, washing the dishes,
Taking the bus,
taking the bus, mowing the lawn, weeding the
painting the ceiling.
garden, like all kinds of stuff, right? That you can do while you're listening to a book. And Audible has been great for me. Like I've just, I listen to a lot of books.
Not sponsored.
Not at all, actually. But you know what? It's just what's useful for me. So Mianglios, yes, Mianglios says I punch air sometimes when I'm really frustrated, overwhelmed, or stuff like that. Absolutely, that's a great way to express anger. So even yelling. Now I would do this when you're by yourself in an enclosed space or whatever. It's not generally good, I don't think ever, to let out our anger on somebody or at somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Because
never at someone. Maybe with someone, but never at someone. Yeah.
Right. To release our anger at another person is counterproductive. It builds up resentment. It builds up all kinds of negative feelings between you and that other person. And it generally makes the relationship worse, whatever it was to begin with. Right? And if we spout off and release our anger on somebody or at somebody, it just makes it worse. So that's like, especially as you get into the realm of parenting, the timeout is a great thing for the parents. And the kids too. But I would say even more so for the parents. Because it gives the parent a time to chill themselves out and come back and address the situation, not with anger, but with logic and, understanding and trying to get to the cause and help their children grow, rather than just being angry and yelling at them and like freaking out and doing whatever, and then just causing you build a barrier every time you do that. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So
it does a lot of damage.
Yep. So you're Mialido, you're absolutely right. That's, hey, you and me, peas in a pod, brother. It gets buried and then freezes. It's bad. So I'm angry right now because my phone charger is playing up. If I stop responding, my phone has died. Just as a heads up. Hey, no problem. I will make this quick. Feel free to DM me and I will respond as I get a chance to. But yeah, take what Ryan said, and then also I always had to like correlate that feeling of anger with physical activity, some kind of activity physically. Because then I'm actually channeling that anger through movement of my body in some way, and it's releasing that energy because that's just welled up in us. Does that make sense?
Get a push mower and mow your neighbor's lawn for a couple bucks.
Totally do that. Then you make money, right?
Yeah, and you make money. Yep.
So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. Ryan, did you have anything else, or are you good?
Nope, I have nothing else. Thank
right.
you. Thank you so much,
Perfect.
Yosua.
Yes, thank you very much for the topic. You're awesome.
You had to say it right the first time.
2% battery. Hey, I've been there.
Yeah. All right. Well,
so
have a good night if you can't get your phone charger working.
But we got your topic.
Yeah.
So that's good. So thanks for being here, and thanks for the topics.
Yeah, thank you.
You're awesome, and hopefully some of that's helpful for you, and can help you move forward. So you're awesome. And speaking of moving forward, we will move on to the next topic. We have one here from Meowlido, and Meow, it looks like you're here because you spoke recently. Excuse me, in the chat. Let me know if you're here. Still, we've got a topic from you from like a month ago called "Choosing Between Names." Does this ring a bell for you?
Mm-hmm. We put it on the back burner because he said he didn't care if it got done anymore because he solved it. But yeah,
already been figured out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
if you yeah, I don't want to do it, I think. Okay, we
okay.
can just remove it
Perfect.
then.
Then there you go. If you got it
Just put it
figured
as
out,
answered.
if you got it figured
Remove it
out,
from our
good for you. I'd say, my advice to you would be figure it out, man.
Yeah, figure it out, man. Oh, you did?
And
Great
you did
job.
it. Perfect. All right. I love you. Um, but all right, so we will move on then. We have um
We have quite a few here in the chat.
I'm not
Or
seeing
sorry, in the
Jess.
I meant to say we have quite a few here that just came in during this episode. Um,
Oh, really?
yeah, none of them are urgent though. That's kind of good. The only one that is Yozoa, but he's going to be gone. Um, I'm guessing with the 2% battery, he might not hold out.
Right.
Um,
All right.
but the other one, yeah. What else we got?
So we have from RK thought they submitted one that was urgent. So maybe
Oh, is yours urgent? Oh my gosh, it is marked urgent. I'm so sorry. Okay, I for some reason my eyes glanced right over it. I can try to process it real quick.
yeah, process
Um,
that real quick. I'll say some stuff. Stuff.
yeah, please do.
Stuff,
Shouldn't
stuff,
take long.
stuff, stuff. I'll zoom in on look at this guy while he processes stuff. Oh man, he looks so good.
Jeez.
That's
No, I only
great.
look good because your eyes can see the beautiful. Because your eyes are beautiful and they're
Because
made for
my eyes
seeing.
are beautiful. My eyes are beautiful. That makes you look good.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Because otherwise, if your eyes didn't work properly, you wouldn't be able to see. And if you work too properly, you'd see all the grossness. So don't get too good.
Mmm.
Like
How?
Dexter.
Oh, Meanglios. How is the
Laboratory.
Taylor Anderson project going? It is going. It is a little bit slowly right now. Jono has a bunch of solo stuff that's being released. We were just working. I was in a call with him today actually, and we were working through some logistical stuff on his next
Oh,
release,
that's
and
awesome.
so that was really cool.
Yeah.
We rearranged a whole bunch of things, and hopefully it's going to be a better situation for everything. Um, but yeah. Like the back end bowels of releasing music is tedious.
Gross, dude.
What? Bowels?
Yeah, the back end bowels
The
of
back
releasing
end
music.
bowels. Yep. Like writing music is fun, recording it is fun, producing it is, kind of tedious, but can be fun. And then all the logistical business side of things to me is just kind of tedious. But the thing that's exciting to me is watching people grow as musicians, hearing their new stuff, being able to
Hmm.
do all this kind of stuff. Yeah, you should. He's got John O'Taylor on Spotify. However, the album that's currently up there is going to get pulled because those audio files are like they're not as good of files as the ones that he has. And he listened to him and he was like, "Oh my gosh, that's awful." And I had never heard anything different, so I didn't know any better when I uploaded them. And I listened to him, and then he sent me the actual ones, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a huge difference. Huge difference. Yeah, we'll release those instead." So anyway, um, yeah, he's a tremendous composer. He's gonna have an album coming out this year. I believe it's this year. And it's all orchestral, like it's very film music style, stuff that you would hear in a movie or whatever. I mean, he's an incredibly talented composer, like so cool. But yeah, he and I have worked on a bunch of stuff, and that's fun. And I can't wait till some of that comes out as well. But you look at those peepers, cat. Look at those peepers. It's scary.
Trying to come up with a topic name for this.
Uh,
Arcade, can you give me a topic name for your topic? Good luck.
you can call it Actually, probably don't. Just
Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. That's going to be the title.
Oh yeah, for the Taylor Anderson project, I did put that on Discord. It's on my Instagram too. Um, yeah, it was a lot of fun. That's been a lot of fun project.
Okay. Um,
W-
Curated. Boom. There you go, RK. Got it
got
in
it.
for you. Urgent and ready.
Urgent and ready. Perfect. We have it. We have it. All right. So I can probably take that topic off of the current topic box. But all right, yeah, is ready. We've got it, and
It's ready.
so I will get it up here. So then we can do the do. What do you think?
Sounds great.
All right, so this is called and it's from RK, and it looks as though it's about a relationship thing. So what I'm gonna do is put it up on the screen, and you can read along. So here we go. And this is from RK. I feel as though I'm being clingy. My partner is moving in a few days, July 15th. It's not like he's moving out of state, but it'll still be around 80 miles away. I'm worried that we won't be able to see each other much. We don't really see each other super often anyway, as he has been busy packing and I've been watching my little brother almost every day. I'm also worried for his mental state. This entire time, he's really only been worried about me, not himself, which I find a little sweet, I guess, but his whole life is going to change. One thing, for instance, is that he adores playing sports. Last year, he played football, possibly basketball, and he was going to play baseball this year. But the school he's going to is extremely small, so small you could barely call it a school. There are no sports teams, and it's pretty much in the middle of nowhere. He has anxiety and has had the occasional breakdown about moving, and I'm upset about it too. I w- and I'm upset about it too. I want to help him, but I don't know how, especially when I've also been breaking down. He acts as if he doesn't need to be taken care of, even though he definitely does. How can I better support him as well as fix my own mental state? I don't want to be dependent on him. And that is from RK. So RK, thank you very much for the topic, and I'm sorry for this stressful situation that you're going through. I'm sorry for the strain that it's causing. I know that moving can cause a lot of stress, especially if we feel like we are leaving more behind than we are going to. And a lot of times it can feel that way if a move has been like kind of forced upon us, either by an employer or by our parents or whatever circumstance, right? If we've kind of been pushed into moving against our will, and now we're looking at this as, oh my gosh, I'm going to leave behind so many things, and that we forget about the things that we're moving to, which could be good, even in a small area with not a whole lot going on. That's kind of like my perfect area because it's peaceful, right? And I enjoy that. And like, it was so funny. I was talking to my buddy Steve yesterday because it's Prime Day, Prime Day sales on Amazon. And so he's like, man, can you imagine if Amazon had like a local store or something? And like, it'd be so great. I'd never leave. And I was like, I'd never go. He's like, why is that? Like, because there'd be so many people. Like, I don't want to go where there's all those people. Like, and like, it would remind me of like Black Friday sales or something where it's just like people gobs everywhere. Like, I would not want to deal with that, personally. But Anyway, okay, so RK says basically he has to move. The place his parents rent from are raising the rent by $500 and they can't afford it. Ah, I gotcha. Okay. So
That's
so
rough.
it's kind of being forced into this situation of moving, and it sounds like everybody's kind of being forced into this situation of moving,
Hmm.
and that's really tough, because now, um, you know, you. So not only is he going to have to be fighting his own feelings, and trying to change his own perspectives, but he's going to be living among other people that also may have this mentality of being forced into moving and leaving behind a whole lot of stuff. And it can be tough. When we leave behind relationships, we leave behind the things we know, we leave behind maybe our favorite gas station food, or we leave behind whatever, like, I mean, and I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. Like, um, so anyway, I would say one of the things, like I had said on the last topic, a change of perspective can be really good for us, right? And sometimes it takes writing it down. So we can write down the things that are going to be difficult about a situation and things that are going to be good about the situation. Now, sometimes I've written down a bunch of things that are going to be really hard about a situation. And I'm like, okay, well, what's good about this situation? And the only good things I could come up with were like developmental things, where it's like, I'm going to get the opportunity to get better at this aspect of things. I get the
Hmm.
opportunity to learn how to do this better. I get to have the opportunity to learn how to have a long distance relationship. I get the opportunity to understand what all these things are that other people go through, and and then learn how to be at peace with these things. So, because every situation can build us or destroy us, and in some ways both, right? The act of working out is destroying your muscle tissue so it can rebuild itself and be stronger. The same thing can happen emotionally, where something can absolutely destroy us emotionally, but what happens as a result is we grow stronger because we went through that painful time. Which is why, as painful as difficult situations are, I very rarely will shy away from running right into them. And that's one of the things that my therapist has said about me multiple times. She's like, one of the things that is about you is you don't run away from stuff. You pretty much head right into it. And I was like, well, I appreciate that. That makes me feel good, right? But I've never seen much benefit in running away from a situation, because then you're just, like, you never deal with it, and it's always going to be there. You're eventually going to have to deal with it. So why not just head in and deal with it? Um anyway, that might have come off a little strong. I'm going to stop talking and let Ryan talk because he's going to say but
No, you're.
anyway,
Yeah, I think you're fine. Okay,
there's some stuff in
you
the
added
chat.
as
You
well.
got that? Okay.
Something. Yeah, something that also makes me mad is that his parents are making him do a bunch of things that he shouldn't have to do, like maybe 2 weeks ago. Sorry, 2 or so weeks ago. Whatever you said, it's differently. I'm whatever. Okay, like maybe 2 weeks or so ago, it was like around midnight, and his parents were just playing games and drinking and making him do a bunch of work and wouldn't let him go to bed until he started acting like he was going to pass out.
Ha.
The other day, he was doing stuff until like 2 in the morning. He's been really exhausted from all of this because he's been working literally from when he wakes up to when he goes to bed.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's really awful. And obviously, you're right. He shouldn't be doing those things. He shouldn't have to do those things. It sounds to me like all of them are in extremely high stress and don't know how to handle it. And so their way of handling it is not good. And so their way of handling it is drinking, playing games, and
Mhm.
making their child do work because they think that they've already done a bunch of work and it's their time to relax, and they didn't see their child do the work because they weren't there watching it or experiencing it, and so now they're putting on the child, even though the child has school and everything like that. And a child is a child, and not a parent nor the provider, and so obviously there's some issues there. But regardless, yeah, that's obviously not how it's supposed to go down. It's a very stressful situation that they're in. They don't have enough money and they have to move to somewhere away from where the town that they live in because it's cheaper somewhere else, which I understand, and I get that. We know when financial times are hard, you can only have what you can have, and if you can't afford what you have to move, you have to change, and that's rough. And so I understand the intensity of the stress that they're in and how that stress can blind them from making the right choices. And I'm only saying that not to say that they're pardoned or that they're not at fault, but just to have a little bit of compassion towards their scenario and recognize they're probably just not thinking straight. Because a lot of us wouldn't be able to think straight in that scenario.
Right.
A lot of us have hard times thinking straight when we're in that sort of high stress situation.
Yes.
Not that that's a good thing, but I'm just pointing it out.
Right. Where a little bit of grace
So
comes in, but even though it's not right,
yeah,
just to understand,
even
that
though it's not right,
they are people, and they're screwing up just like all of us have the capability of doing. Right.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So yeah, perfectly said, Joe. Yeah, that's horrible. And how do you help someone? Because that's what you're here for. How do you help them? How do you help them be in the best position that they can be to be prepared for the journey and sustained through the journey, and feel encouraged to do and carry on in the best ways possible to become the best version of themselves if they can, however they can do that, And I think there's a couple of things that can go a long way. One, you as their partner, their significant other, your encouragement means a lot. Even if they don't necessarily respond to it in a way that makes it look like it's helping right now, your encouragement does a lot for the long game, okay? So if you can be encouraging and uplifting and letting them know how proud of them you are and how impressed you are by them, and that you're, and just be a noticer of the good in them and point that out for them, especially in these hard and trying times, that's going to go a long way. Even if they deny and say, oh, that's not how it is or whatever, keep it up. Don't slack in your encouragement, because emotionally it's going to be a hard battle for them. Of course it is. And it is. And the best you can do to change their perspective, right, towards thinking about this as a potentially good thing is great. But that doesn't happen usually in a short amount of time, unless he just so happens to have a specific personality, kind of thing, where he wants to engage you and make up his mind about it right here, right now, and it's going to be that way. But I'll tell you, that's not most people. Most people don't go through life that way. Most people experience life as it comes, and they handle it as it comes, and they're susceptible to whatever hits them, is however they're going to feel. That's most people. And if you say that he has anxiety and occasional breakdowns, then I'm going to guess that engaging on a one-on-one deep conversation about the future and being real, that might be helpful in the long run, and maybe in the short term, but it's not usually something that changes his perspective. And what I mean by that is this. Let's say you have a deep, thoughtful conversation. You bring it up. You say, "Let's talk about this. Let's prepare for our future together. Let's recognize the good in this scenario that we're going through, so that we have food for the journey ahead." You know, if you sit him down and you guys have that discussion, it might be really, really helpful. But the problem is, then he has to make the journey. And when he starts making that journey, whatever habits he has in his head already is what the journey's going to be like. You know, I've said many times on the show, how you see the world is how you're going to feel living inside of it, right? Similarly, how your subconscious habits are, what they focus on, you know, how you digest things and respond to things is going to pave the path ahead of you, regardless of whatever, like, the world's going to throw it at you, what it's going to throw at you. But how you receive it and what you do with it is going to be a lot of times based on your habits, because you're just responding as it comes, because that's all you can do. When you're highly stressed, you don't have time to think and plan ahead. You only have time to respond. And so your habits are what's going to take over. Okay. And so what I'm going to ask you to do for him is do your best to make habits for him. And I know that's a really weird thing to say, but we rub off on each other. And if you work on yourself, it will encourage others around you to start working on themselves. If you start to become a person who is focused and you support people around you, and you're clearly focused on improving in certain areas of your life, what you're going to notice is that the people that you're in constant contact with are going to start to pick up on those things and start moving along their paths in slightly similar ways. And so what I would like for you to do is perhaps do a little write some journals down, or write some kind of analytical paper, short paper. You know, I'm not asking you to write a paper. I'm just saying do this for them. Write down some of your analyses, whatever. Analyses, thank you. Some of your analyses about what you see in them that they're going to need for their habits to get through the next journey ahead, right? The habits they're going to need to develop to get through the next journey ahead of them with the least stress possible, right? Point out the things that you can think about that are like, okay, here are some areas he can improve on that will help him get through this better. Here are some areas that he can improve on that will make this less stressful, or less make him less anxious, or more pumped up about the future, like more excited about it, you know, etc. Things like that. If you can figure out some things like that, then while you're in his presence, whether that be just texting, talking on the phone, or live, if you can, while you're with him, work on those things for yourself and invite him along for that journey. Because that's what relationships like this demand of you. And they'll always demand of you. You find out, if you can, where they might need some help. And then you work on yourself in that category, and you invite them along in that journey. And that journey is your relationship. It's a part of your relationship, and that part will be something that's built into your relationship and will last. And it will be magnetic. It will be incredible, okay? That's not easy to do, and I understand that. And that's not easy to calculate out. And that's what I'm asking you to do, is calculate that out. I know that's not easy. but it's the best way to help someone that you're close to. Whether it's romantic or friendship, it's the best way. Because any other way has almost nothing to do with you. And you can't make barely any headway in it. Because all you're doing is saying things to them that you're expecting them to change about themselves. Or saying things to them, encouraging them and hoping that sticks and becomes a habit in their head. It's like that usually doesn't work that way. They're not going to start encouraging themselves in their own head just because you encourage them in your head, in their head, right? It can, but generally, if you invite them along for the journey that is your own development, you and him will learn things together, and it will be deep and impactful and life-changing. Because you're in it together, and you are his fuel, and he is your fuel. And in that scenario, it's a lot easier to change yourself when the fuel is not yourself, right? It's a lot easier to work on yourself when the fuel is not yourself, because you will get burnt out, and then you will say, I'm done, if it's just yourself. But if it's someone else on the line, if it's someone else's reputation or someone else's, health, someone else's journey that you're along with, and it's about them too, basically, because it's love, your fuel is endless. Because love is an infinite power, if you will. And so I know that's a hard and tall order, but that is the very, very best diamond compact little nugget I can give you for this scenario. And I hope it made sense. I hope it carries on with you and it's something that you find doable. And I know that right now you might be hard pressed for time with this individual. But if you work on yourself in these categories, the categories that you think might help, if you work on yourself in those categories, even away from them, it will do great justice to when you are with them. Because then when you are with them, you propose a person who has self-confidence. You propose a person who is attractive because you have certain attributes now that are attractive and that they can cling to and develop themselves. And then you can take them along that journey as you go through it. So some of it requires some solo work when obviously they don't have all the time to be with you all 24/7. I get that. So some of it does require some solo work. And I recognize that maybe it's hard to find time with them. And I know that that can be a holdup, but regardless, this is the best way I know. The best way I know how. And that's what I got. I see that you've written quite a bit more in the chat. I haven't read it yet. I'm sure Joe is
I've already
ready
read
to do
it,
so. So
and I'm going to.
Cool. Perfect.
And
well,
the
then
plot,
I'm going to give it over to Joe.
The plot thickens.
The plot thickens, right? Of course, it always does.
Yes.
Nothing is surface.
It's okay. And I'll tell you, this whole situation strikes very close to home for me. I've been in very, very similar experience, not as your partner's position, but as one of his parents' position, right? And so, it can be really dicey. And so what I'm going to kind of go with here, I think Ryan had a lot of good things to say, because your questions are, how do I support him and how do I not be dependent on him, right? Because he's going to have enough of a struggle. Here's the thing. This whole situation, every person involved is struggling. Every single one of them.
Everyone. Including the grandparents.
Yep. So to just read off what's in the chat, RK says they're moving in with his grandparents, which is kind of funny to me because his grandparents don't want his parents to move in, only him. His grandparents were going to give them one room, and basically his parents were going to have that room, and he was going to sleep in either a barn or a trailer. His grandparents basically said, no, screw you. He's getting the room, and now they're going to be sleeping elsewhere. Okay, and then you said I might do that tonight when we call. We've been calling every night until one of us. I'm not quite sure what that is, because it was in response to something Ryan was saying, and I wasn't.
It was in response to having a deep conversation about the future
Gotcha.
and the
Okay.
positives.
Perfect.
Looking for where you guys can come together to look for, here are the struggles. Let's talk about them. Let's
Mm-hmm.
get a solution going.
Mm-hmm.
At least a running one. We can change it as we go, and then also let's talk about some positive things that we're excited for that could happen.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, and then you say also, RK, the reason I'm worried we won't see each other a lot is because before him, I was in a long distance relationship for 2 years. We saw each other in person maybe 4 times. Then again, he lived across state. So there's all kinds of stuff in here. So as far as not being dependent on him, because yes, there is all kinds of struggle here, and you have an opportunity to be a great support to him
Mm-hmm.
and to listen. And a lot of times, what's going to be required of you is to not offer advice,
Right.
to not advise, to
Mm-hmm.
not increase the level of anger and frustration, but just to listen
Mm-hmm.
and to allow him to talk and to affirm that you love him and to affirm that he's a person and he's okay and that he's a valuable person, because this could go all kinds of ways. This could go crazy. Now I'm impressed that his grandparents are saying, "Hey, you know what? He gets the bedroom. You guys get to sleep somewhere else, like on a couch or in a trailer or wherever." Right? I
Yeah, I like that.
it kind of makes me laugh, but it also like makes me understand that there's a lot that your partner can feel valuable about himself for. Like his grandparents are saying, "Hey, we want this. We want you to have this room." That's cool. That's an awesome big deal of a thing, right? He's the favorite grandchild. They're not shy about it at all.
Not at all.
They've said it in front of his cousins. All right. Hey, well, now
That's
here's
funny.
the thing. That can be done in a joking fashion and in a good fashion, but if it's done in a serious and truthful absolute fashion, then I would question his grandparents.
Mm.
Because here's the thing. Anytime we pick a favorite, we can always pick another one. And how do we treat our not favorites? Oh, they're serious. Okay. Well, then this just deepens the struggle at all levels.
Yeah, it does.
In my personal opinion, and I'm
Unfortunately.
sorry. But seriously, there's all kinds of brokenness going on. There's all kinds of people going on. And here's the thing to remember. Every single person involved in this situation is a person. And every single one of them is facing the stress of the situation itself. Now, the situation comes in, and the situation just is what it is. And we get to choose how we handle it, right? But so from your partner's perspective, this is very, very stressful. And like, I don't agree with his parents having him do all this work while they play games and drink. But I also understand why his parents would probably sit there and play games and drink, because they are feeling the struggle of feeling worthless, feeling like they can't afford their living situation, they can't afford their house anymore, they're going to lose it. Their jobs, what they're doing, aren't cutting it. Now, I don't know if they've lost their jobs. I don't know if their jobs just don't pay enough, and it doesn't really matter, but the whole thing reeks of being told by the world that you're inadequate. As I remember, as I was losing my house, over a decade ago. And I remember being forced to move because like we couldn't afford the place we were living in. We had a young child, all this stuff. We had to rely on parents' help. We had all this kind of stuff. It ended up separating our family. It did all kinds of stuff. Okay, RK's got an update. His dad got into a small accident a little while ago. For a while, they just didn't pay him for some reason, so they're short on money. Okay, so this is thrust upon them at an even. There's another layer. There was an accident,
Yeah.
something, like all these things. So all these things that have stacked up are causing a really stressful situation for a whole lot of people. The grandparents are feeling the stress. They're going to have a house with a bunch more people. Now, it's great that they've offered to open their home.
Mm-hmm.
I commend them for that. But picking a favorite grandchild and, like, I don't know, personally, I struggle with that mentally, as I look at both of my kids and, like they both say to me, like, they're like, well, he's your favorite. No, he's not. He's your favorite. I'm like, you're both my favorite because you're different. I got to love you in different ways. Right. But I don't, like the love I have for you is infinite and neither one of you are my favorites and both of you are my favorites. Right. And to me, that makes sense. Like to have a favorite doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. That just seems judgmental in my mind. But anyway, all that aside, from your position, none of those other people are your responsibility. And even your partner is not your responsibility, but you have an opportunity to help your partner.
Mm-hmm.
But to have an understanding that each one of these people involved in this situation is a person that's struggling and they've got a battle going on in their mind. They're not doing things to be mean to another person. It's because inside their head, they're struggling. Okay? And so one of the best things you can do is kind of step back and look at the whole picture and be like, okay, here's a situation that just sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard for everybody, and everybody's struggling with it, and everybody's coping with it in their own way, and everybody's, whether they're doing it right or wrong or whatever, they're trying to cope with what's going on in their mind. For you, RK, there are a few things I would recommend doing, and one is I would recommend looking into finding a counselor to talk to. Because with your partner going through this whole situation, it might not be the best time to dump what's going on in your mind on your partner. Your partner will say, "Hey, I want to support you." And to some degree he'll be able to. But if like all the stuff going on, it's going to affect you in a certain way, and for you to throw that back onto him might just add to his stress. And it might make things more difficult. So it might be good for you to have a counselor. You could even, if you have a friend you could talk to about it that's outside the situation, just somebody that you can kind of release this stuff so you can talk about it. And one of the reasons I would recommend a therapist and not a close and trusted friend is because a friend could easily... Well, I guess I've seen therapists do this too, but I've seen it more happen with friends where they will just jump on your side and jump against the other people without taking into consideration that everybody there is a person, and they might skew your brain in a way that could make you say something or come to a conclusion that might not be 100% true. Because the more separated we are from a situation, it's easy to just point a finger and be like, well, that's the problem. They're the problem, blah, 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 blah. And then if you reflect that same sentiment, then it could get through. And then all of a sudden, people are mad at each other for no reason. It adds to the strain of the situation even more. And oh my gosh, so sometimes, okay. RK says, I've been wanting one for a while, but I think my parents just forgot. I also want a therapist for other mental health issues I have. Absolutely. Absolutely. And like seriously, a professional can really, really help. And so this could be a time to maybe kick that spur again into the side of your parents. That's kind of a weird visual now. Like but, to find a therapist, to find a counselor, right? And somebody you could talk to. And, for your other things going on, absolutely. RK says, I told my dad about it and he said he'd look for one for me, but that was the last I heard about it, and that was at least half a year ago. Okay, you might need to start doing some of the searching for yourself and then just bring to your parents, hey, this is what I've found. Do any of these look like they would work out well? And, there's insurance to consider, your parents' insurance, all this kind of stuff. So they might have to find somebody who's, who takes their insurance and, whatever. So, but you can do some online searching and telehealth. My therapist, I've never met with in person. It's all telehealth. But she's only licensed in the state of Michigan, and I don't know if she's accepting patients or not. I think she's got a fairly full load at the moment, but otherwise I'd recommend her. But anyway, so yeah, there are steps you can take, and it would be very important for you to do this. This is going to help you, one, be able to be available for your partner, and then also for you to not be dependent on your partner, because it's going to help strengthen you. RK says, the thing though too is that I want a therapist that specializes in a specific disorder, but I don't know that my mom would like that because she doesn't really like me talking about it. Okay. And you don't have to go into detail if you don't want to. So whatever. And also, if you wanted to DM me, I'm Joe. I'm at plebnub on Discord, right? And you can definitely DM me if you want to go further into detail, but you don't want to do it in a public chat. Like you can totally do that. You can reach out to me on Discord if you want. But and because I had to go through all this stuff, and it's crazy. Like I had to go through the situation. I felt like probably a lot like what your partner's parents feel like when it's like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my house. It's all going away. Like I gotta and we gotta figure this out. And then I can remember, oh my gosh, here's my ex, she was my wife at the time, but she's my ex now, is that we were like 3 days away from getting kicked out of this place. And she just would not accept the fact that we had to move. And so I'm down in my office. I'm like packing up my stuff. I'm like getting everything, putting it in boxes. I'm trying to get ready, right? And so she comes down and she starts unpacking my boxes and putting stuff back. I'm like, this is happening. There's no way around this, right? And she just would not accept it. But anyway, so that added a whole new layer. But people do crazy stuff under stress, right? We all do crazy stuff when we're under stress. RK, which also makes me scared to ask her for a therapist. In the past, she's also straight up told me that I didn't have depression, even though I was very depressed at the time. That makes me upset when parents do that. I don't know what the angle a parent has. One of my really good friends, his dad doesn't believe that depression is real or anxiety. And that makes me really, really mad. Because they are real. And they require assistance. Sometimes we need help. So, I don't know. If I'm a parent and I'm trying to help my kid through depression, I'm going to understand that I'm not qualified to diagnose whether my kid is depressed or not. I can try and see, I can try and help, I can do whatever, but I can't make that diagnosis. RK says, she's very accepting of other stuff. She told me I didn't have it because I didn't act like I did, because I don't show that stuff to most people because I don't want to worry them. She also has depression.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So it's because of the fact that you haven't shared all of the stuff with your mom, so she can't see it. So she thinks you don't have it, but and I'm not telling you you should show all these things to your mom. That may not be the appropriate play. I had to talk to a lot of these things with my therapist because I could not talk to my parents about them. And that's okay too. It's okay to be in that position. Yeah. So anyway, there's a lot here, and we could talk on this forever and ever and ever, but to help you, RK, I would say definitely see if you can move the ball forward on finding a therapist, somebody that you can talk to. And here's another thing. Ryan talked about hopes and dreams for the future, talking with your partner about these things, hopes and dreams, stuff that's positive, stuff that's uplifting, all this stuff. Okay, I'm also trying to keep you updated in the chat too. The chat, RK, you said, I remember I was talking on a chat room thing when I was in middle school, and I was telling people that I might be gender fluid. She saw those messages and pretty much traumatized me into thinking I'm not, even though I very much so am, and realize that now. Okay, well, some people have very, very strong opinions in these areas, and like, I know people when they even come up to somebody having having some kind of thing about being trans or gender fluid or whatever, they just automatically strike out and say, well, that doesn't make sense. That's not real. That's not this, blah, 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 blah. And I think it would make so much more sense, instead of just vomiting our opinion. And I'm not saying you're doing this. I'm saying like kind of like your mom's approach, at least from the appearances here, and I've seen a lot of other people do the same thing where it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense and blah, 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 blah. But instead of vomiting our opinion and our point of view on somebody, why not just ask? What makes you feel that way? What makes you feel like you're gender fluid? What makes you, I want to understand these things. I want to understand, because I love you and I want what's best for you. And so it seems to me like the best thing we could do is ask the question rather than just spew our point of view. Right? Anyway, but that's a different topic for another day. RK says, that really made me mad. It still doesn't, and it still does, because she's very accepting on that kind of stuff. My cousin is non-binary. She's pan, but no, I can't be gender fluid. Okay. Isn't it interesting how double standards find their way into our lives?
All the time by all the kind of people.
Mm-hmm. All of us. We're all subject to this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Your mom is a
We all
human
have
being.
our own double standards we don't know about.
You betcha. You bet we do. Except Ryan. He's the pinnacle of perfection. But you're not any less than that.
That's right.
But anyway, so here's the thing. So Ryan talked about positive stuff, talking about positive stuff, talking about dreams, hopes for the future, these things. If you can live in that world with your partner and try and start to focus on, okay, this is just going to be part of our story.
Mm-hmm.
And every good story has a struggle in it. You would not want to go see the movie of the person who worked at a factory their whole entire life and did nothing. You wouldn't want to see that movie. Unless there was stuff going on in the periphery of his life, and if there was a deep struggle that happened somewhere that made it dramatic. This is part of your story that's going to make it dramatic. and it's going to make for a great life story. And you're going to get past it. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take and what you're going to have to go through to get there. But there is another side to this situation. So then while you're going through it, that's great. I love that Ryan talked about, looking at things for the future, trying to figure out how good it can be once you get on the other side of this. That can be so encouraging for us.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing you can do is pay attention to what kind of media you're taking in. There are TED Talks, there are podcasts, there are different things that, like if you can focus on learning something new. Once you get into therapy, your therapist might recommend books or websites for you to check out, videos to watch, all this kind of stuff, and if you can find some way, something to dig into that's positive, that's uplifting, what that's going to do is it's going to keep your mind stronger. It's going to help keep your focus moving forward. You're learning something new. You're learning something maybe about yourself or maybe about other people. I mean, there are TED Talks out there that are awesome. There are podcasts out there that are awesome. And if you can take in media, whether it's audio, video, or books or whatever, that moves you in a positive direction, in a forward moving direction, then what that will do is that will decrease your dependency on any person, let alone your partner, right? Because it'll keep your head, it'll keep you moving forward from a stronger position. So it will reduce your dependency. Plus, you will be, when you're with your partner and you're doing this, you are going to be kind of like a foundational rock for him. Because your attitude, your mental strength, your fortitude is going to be solid enough for him to lean on while he's handling this struggle. So what Ryan was talking about as far as looking to the future, dreams, goals, different stuff like that, man, that is huge. Do that. And then also positive information coming into your head. Good stuff, whether it's audio, video, books, whatever, anything that can be uplifting and forward-looking. That type of media is going to help keep you strong. And I think that will do a lot to help. So, okay, RK says, she said that if my brother comes out as gay, she'd be fine with it. But when it comes to me, I just, can't or something. I don't know. I'll probably make another topic about this specifically. I apologize for just, derailing the topic a little. No, not at all. You're not derailing. These are all things that make up different facets of this situation. Okay? The stuff you're dealing with, all of this stuff, man, a therapist would be really, really helpful. The stuff going on with your mom, the stuff with depression, the stuff with your partner, all this stuff. I mean, it's a big flustercluck of crazy, right? There's just craziness. And to have somebody to be able to listen and kind of cut through is going to be really helpful. Cluster hug. Aww. It's a cluster hug. That sounds so nice.
I think we used that one before. I think
cluster hug.
Yeah, I think someone said that in chat before, right?
Maybe.
Wasn't that from this chat at some point? I could be wrong.
Could be. I don't know. It's the name of one of my favorite songs. Okay.
Oh, that's what it comes from. Okay.
Gotcha. All right. So anyway, that's kind of what I have. And but I can't stress enough the fact that every single person involved in this situation is a human being. And they're all struggling. This is hard on everybody. I remember going through my divorce and realizing that this is hard on everybody. The only winners in my divorce were the lawyers,
That's right.
right? And it's hard on everybody. Situations like this are hard on everybody. And it's stressful, and we're all people, and we all default to different behaviors to help us cope, and there's all kinds of stuff that we just do as human beings, and we make judgment calls, and a lot of times they're wrong. And when we're under a lot of stress, it increases the likelihood that we're going to make the wrong decision because our mentality's clouded. And it's just, oh my gosh, like all of this is just, there's so many opportunities to go off the rails. And for you, RK, to build up your mental fortitude through having that forward, future looking perspective and keeping good information coming into your head, stuff that's going to help build you and help you grow, and a therapist guiding that process in that. But like I always ask my therapist, hey, are there any websites, are there any books or articles that you can send me that can help me with this situation? And she's, sure enough, man, she just lists off a whole bunch of stuff. And then I can go, and it's like a smorgasbord, like some of them I have to buy, some of them are just free websites or YouTube videos, whatever. And, I'm on my way, and I can learn and I can grow. And the more you can do that, the stronger you will be for yourself and for your partner, and by extension, his whole family. You being rock solid for your partner, first of all, you being rock solid for yourself is going to benefit you, and it's going to benefit your partner. And you being rock solid for yourself is going to benefit your partner, and then that's just going to have a ripple effect and be a benefit to his parents, to his grandparents, even to his cousins who aren't the favorites. Right? And it can start with you. You can have an impact. Now, I don't say that to put like all this stress upon you and to put this big mantle of pressure on you, because that's not what I'm doing. All that you need to focus on is being you and being the best you and getting all this stuff figured out in you. And then by extension, you just being yourself is going to be a benefit to all these people who are struggling in this situation. So I'm proud of you. I am so impressed. Like, this is a tough situation, and I'm honored that you would ask us about it. But all these things, man, it all will kind of flow out of you focused on the future, being a better you, and I would definitely do whatever it takes to try and find a therapist or a counselor for sure. So I don't know. That's what I got. I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan. I talked for way long time, and we've gone over.
It's all good.
But
yeah,
it's okay.
I'm not going to add anything else. I'm just going to reiterate some things. I think, Joe, you said a lot of really good stuff. I've said some stuff in the beginning. If you want, RK, you can go ahead and listen to it again. I'll tell you what, there are many times where I think I take everything in and I listen to the same talk like 5 times, and every time I like find a new nugget, and so feel free to go ahead and listen to this again. Especially if you found it any bit encouraging towards moving forward with this. I can say that I would just want to re-emphasize something Joe said, and that is, and I meant to say it, but I kind of forgot. I watched over it when I was talking. Don't be depending on your relationship, but most of the time, in most relationships and where they're at for most people, I can say this in a general state, don't try to give advice to your partner when it comes to overcoming their anxiety or, I guess most things. If they ask you, that's great. Give your best, but generally don't seek to do that. Don't seek to give advice. And the reason is is because you need to act out the improvements in your life and let them catch on. And that's the way you change people. Barely did anyone ever change someone by giving advice in the setting of friendship or romance.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to romantic partners, if you're like, hey, this would really help with your anxiety if you started doing this. I found it helpful for me. My friends said it helped them, blah, blah, blah. That stuff, unfortunately, doesn't stick. Even if they receive it kindly,
Mm-hmm.
it just doesn't stick.
True.
Why? It's just not in practice. It's not it's not real for them. It's not encountered. It's not journeyed through. It's just words, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
If you have advice, the best thing you can do is live by it. And that will grow in them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of what Joe was talking about at the end. When you make the best changes you can to your life, you will change the people around you. You'll make the people around you, like if you struggle with anxiety, for example, and you find some breakthroughs in that, and you start living that out, the people around you, you'll start noticing them finding breakthroughs too. And you'll be like, why? That's weird. How's that happening? Because you're being a good influence and they can follow you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're encouraged by you in your actions and how you are speaking and how you are acting now differently than you used to, in a good way, right? Not saying you need to be a different person, not saying that you now is not good enough, not saying that you now is not worth loving, because RK, you right now are worth loving. You always will be. But wherever we can improve and we do so, we bring love to the table for everybody else around us. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's contagious and it's changing and it's just wonderful. It's lovely. So I just want to nail that one in the coffin. I know that it's, again, hard. It's probably the hardest answer we can give you, but it's the one that works. And so that's what I encourage you to do.
Good encouragement. I encourage the same thing.
And you got this, okay? You got this. I mean, first of all, you already came to us. Not that like, oh, you came to the right people, but more so you came to something. You did something.
Right.
And that's awesome. That's a great amount of effort already. And so I don't see why you won't pull through. And I think that you will. I think that you're going to make a big difference. So yeah, keep on encouraging, keep on planning things out that are in the future. Talk about the time, the day when you guys have a home or whatever it is you are dreaming about, in your relationship, and enjoy those conversations. And then also, again, you can analyze where your partner needs help and try to work on those things for yourself. You can analyze where you need help. And I think that a therapist, again, like Joe was saying, is going to be the best route, because a lot of times it's hard to analyze yourself. That's why I said analyze them, because that's a little bit easier for us to do, for most people, because we don't know where. A lot of times we're just like, I messed up and I don't know why, and I don't know how to fix it, and I don't even know what I'm just know there's something wrong,
Right.
That's where I'm at, that's
I
yeah.
feel messed up, and I don't know how I got here, and I don't know how to get out.
Yep.
I need help.
But listening to talks that are helpful and positive, that goes a long, long way. Whether they TED Talks or, theology courses or, just random things on YouTube that pop up, and like just from your feed that are positive talks. There's all sorts of different outlets out there, and it could be podcasts, it could be anything, but those have had a great impact on my life, and I know it's true for Joe as well.
Yep, absolutely. Audios work well, Mianglios Thank you. Yep, this show is
Yeah,
a
thank you.
positive talk. It is, and we
Mhm.
want to that's what we want to share with the world. We want to share with you guys, whoever comes across any of these at any point from now until the end of YouTube or
Mhm.
whatever, like hopefully it can have a positive impact. That's really all that we're trying to do is,
Mhm.
shed some light on some situations and try and help people feel better and have better lives because life can bite you and it can be hard. And, RK, uh, thank you. Oh, you are so sweet. Um,
Mm.
thank you
Thank you so much. Yeah,
for saying
that
that.
means a lot.
Thank you for saying we have
Mhm.
an impact. And I'm really glad to hear that. I'm really thankful that you are willing to come and share this situation. And like Ryan said, I commend you for it because it is taking a
Mhm.
step in the direction of helping and fixing and repairing the situation. Because calling it out and talking about it and shedding light on the situation, even though to us it might seem like we're stepping backwards and like doing reconnaissance and learning so then we can move forward, this process in and of itself is a huge step forward. In fact, it's probably the biggest
Mm.
because it's going from zero to something.
Mhm.
You know what percentage increase that is?
Infinite.
Infinity. Exactly.
Infinitesimal.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Meow and Meowngleos. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, you get
Um,
some
I
also
know a game
awesome.
that has an
We appreciate
impact. It's probably called Genshin Impact. It's even in the title, right?
it.
Like,
Yeah. Yeesh, wow. What are we supporting? We don't have we you have to find ways to like any kind of thing you say, it's like they just pay us.
that's
Because if
right.
you're gonna say Genshin Impact, they should be paying us, you
They
know?
should be paying us, man.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Saule.
Yes.
Yes, we're
We're all
gonna
gonna get
we're
off.
gonna
Thank
get
you.
going too. Here,
Yeah.
we've gone over, but it was a good thing. I'm glad we did because this.
Mhm.
Hey, absolutely. Um, wouldn't be for me. I played it a little bit. I never got into it too much. Um, but anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for hanging out with us and listening to us and listening to our crazy voices and go off the rails and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. We did great.
Mhm.
You guys make this show worthwhile. You guys being here, it's my favorite part of the week, and I'm bummed because I'm not
Mhm.
going to be here next
Mine too.
Wednesday. But
Yeah.
I'm going to be with my kids.
But it's okay.
I have my kids for the week, and so
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
be
then it
with
will be
them.
the favorite part of your week that week. Still.
Yes, yes, we'll have a good time. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you next time
Mhm.
on Don't Worry Wednesday. In the meantime, if you do have a topic, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com. Click the submit a topic button, and we'd be happy to do your topic. But yeah, until we meet again, have a wonderful, wonderful life and a great week. And we'll see you next time on Don't Worry Wednesday. Till then, take care. We love you guys.
Bye now. Love y'all.
Bye bye.
Peace.